The Mid-Day Meal Scheme is a school meal program of the Government of India designed to improve the nutritional state of school-age children nationwide. Serving 12 crore children in over 12,65,000 schools and education guarantee scheme centers, it is the largest such program in the world. Initially designed to serve just the primary school children, it was later extended to include the upper primary classes as well. The rationale of Mid-Day Meal program is that if it is successfully implemented, it would help in increasing the enrollment of children in schools and minimize the number of out-of-school children and dropout rate. Parents of poor children will find less difficulty in sending their children to school if meal is served to them. However beneficial the idea may sound though, only negative effects have been heard of when it comes to Mid-Day Meal scheme. I decided to take a step in order to salvage the situation by presenting another face of it, a positive one. I visited a primary school located in the village of Datawali-meerut, Uttar Pradesh. With the total number of enrolled kids being 84, spending a day there gave me an insight into the very complicated world of the poor and the workings of a poor kid's psyche. I observed those kids for a couple of hours. They have their exams approaching, so the teachers had given them practice questions to work on. Also, they were reciting various lessons they have learned to the teachers, like tables, the English alphabet, counting numbers, and whatnot. They let me have a look at their notebooks too. They were really confident with everything they did, which is commendable seeing their age and circumstances. When I was certain that they were comfortable in my presence, I approached them with a handful of questions. When I asked them why they came to school regularly, they had looked at me like it should have been obvious and had said in a very matter-of-fact tone, "Because we love it all, the studies, the place, and the food, of course." As for the favorite subjects, they apparently like all. When asked about the food served in school, they had very excitedly exclaimed that they do in fact enjoy the midday meal they are served, especially the dal rice. The shocker had been when I asked if they got any other meal except for the one at school, and most had replied in the negative, saying that they didn't get any other meal but the midday meal, establishing how important midday meal is for them and the nutritional requirements of their little bodies. Then I approached the cooks. When asked about how they decide on the quantity to be prepared, they said that they always prepare more than enough. As for the seasonal changes like coming of monsoon affecting their preparations, they told me that the structure of the kitchen was relatively new, so no issues as such. When it came to options, they follow a fixed menu, they said. They had issues with the salaries, of course. They want an increment, seeing as they get 1,000 rupees per month and they haven't received even that from the government in the last 10 months. Shocked at their admission, when I inquired about how they manage to feed the kids when government doesn't send money on time, they reassured me that the teachers and the village pradhan have taken the matter into their own hands. They never let the supplies run short. The school owes quite a bit to the pradhan actually. And finally, the teachers. When I inquired about the attitude kids have towards education, they said that the kids are really interested in studying. As for midday meal scheme's effects on the attitude, they said that almost one-third more kids attend school because of midday meal. So the effect's huge. Positively huge. When I asked them about what all prompts the kids to come to school, they gave me many points, one of which being midday meal is a prominent one. As for the factors that stop the kids from coming to school, they say it's mostly parental pressure during peak of the family's occupation. They told me they spend around 3.86 rupees per kid per meal, in which each kid has to have 100 grams of food with 12 grams of proteins. The protein requirement is fulfilled by providing milk, and soybean balls are used in a variety of food items because of their rich protein content. And when asked about the documents they maintain, they told me they maintain numerous registers actually. The attendance register, the admission register, the midday meal scheme register, the progress report or result register, teachers' attendance, and the cook's attendance. By the time lunch rolled around, I was done with the interactive sessions with the three parties, so I approached the kitchen to take a look at the food prepared. The kids had settled down with their plates in front of them and expectations in their eyes. The food lady started serving them, and the smile that lit up their faces at her approach isn't something I would ever forget. They had made tahari. They gave me some to try too. When I looked at the teachers, they told me it was normal to have food with the kids. They did it from time to time, and I could be one of the two witnesses they needed to sign for in the register. I readily agreed, seeing as I loved tahari. It was pretty good. They had soya bean balls in it for the proteins. Kids loved that. I couldn't help but notice how so many of the kids took second helpings. It was a wonderful sight seeing them enjoying their midday meal, especially since I knew for how many of them that was the only meal of the day. After they had their lunch, the remaining part of the hour was spent playing around and enjoying. Since I was there, they performed for me. Some danced, some acted, some recited poems, and they just were. It was fun. When the hour was up, the teacher called them to go back in their respective classes. I asked them if having had the midday meal helped with their focus in classes after lunch. The teachers said it definitely did. They paid more attention and they were more receptive to new information. That was good to hear, I replied. And even though it wasn't helping me at a personal level, I thanked them for their hand in filling these disadvantaged kids' bellies. They added that their backgrounds were a major factor in these kids' interest in having midday meal. Had they belonged to the area where the school my mother worked in is, in the heart of Meerut, they might not have needed or wanted this midday meal. But these kids right here want as well as desperately need this food. Hence, the teachers are helping out. It was reassuring to hear that those kids will have someone looking out for them at least till they were in this primary school. I said my goodbyes. Those kids begged me to stay some more, but I knew I had overstayed already. They needed to get back to their studies. I was told I'm welcome back anytime. It took me the drive back home and the next couple of hours to come to terms with all that had gone down and for all the information to sink in. How the midday meal is the only meal for so many, how it brought about 27.2% more kids to school every day, how the budget for each kid per meal is 3.86 rupees, how the teachers and the pradhan of the village are responsible for feeding those disadvantaged kids, how those poor cooks haven't received the 1,000 rupees of their meager salaries in the last 10 months. It was all overwhelming, to say the least. The objective of this visit, this research, had been to establish how midday meal scheme isn't all bad and how it's having a positive impact on the lives of so many. I don't know about the objective, but I achieved so much more. To conclude, the statistics are summarized as follows. Midday meal scheme has led to 27.2% more kids to attend school. Introduction of milk in the midday meal led to new enrollments and increase in attendance of course. It's the only meal of the day for so many, so it's a necessity to sustain those poor kids. The government hasn't paid the cooks in the last 10 months, and the cost of feeding the poor kids are currently borne by the teachers of the school and the village pradhan. Those kids don't go without food for the whole day because of them. Hopefully, this light in their eyes and the smiles on their faces won't diminish once their primary education is over.